Hello and welcome. My name is Trismegistus, and today we're going to be playing some more Factorio. But now, if I remember to turn the audio on, I can check the levels. Game's maybe a bit high, but yeah, it'll do. But now we're on version 2.1. We are no longer in the past version 2.0, and I'm standing right next to, whoops, one of the new improvements, which is the new assembly machine. Let me just sort all my windows out, make sure everything's coming through properly on Twitch. Yes, it is. And then put that there, do that one there, that one there, cover that over with that, and we are ready to go. So yes, and it's got the little diode thing which shows you a machine's working. It just switches it off in this. I thought it turned it red, but so this, oh well, it's not got any recipe, that one, is it? But so this is done, as it were, and I thought it turned it like red and blue and stuff, but no, it does not. And I keep trying, because I've been editing my, it's not quite a 2.1 patch notes video, because there are literally, well, there were 560 notes in the patch notes, or changelog rather, when the open beta, well, sorry, when the closed beta started, and they added at least a dozen more. So you're talking close to 600 things in the changelog. So I'm not doing a full here's everything in the changelog video, because that would literally take, well, I mean, when I joined the closed beta, I spent about 3 hours reading through the thing and noting what looked interesting that I wanted to play with. And yeah, so I've been editing that video, and the controls are different. So I'm trying to zoom in by using the wrong key. So since we are now in 2.1, we need to be expecting a more aggressive like response, as it were, from the biters, because that doesn't look loud enough on my thing, but that's because yeah, it's fine on there. That's because they tweaked the way expansion works. So if the game, because the way it works in general is you have, I could turn the, no, I'm not going to bother. There's like a debug thing that shows you the chunks that each, like the consideration that's going on from the, you know, the algorithm that says, should I settle here? And they tweaked the way all of that works, and basically what it does now is it sends out much bigger settlement groups, and of the order of, so in the closed beta map, it must have been, because I made it slightly bigger, you know, starting area, and that one of the first colonisations was within about 3 hours, which is fairly normal, but it had 20 nests in it when it had finished, because I sat there and watched it, and it was because it was a giant group of biters, and so it had about 20 nests in it and a couple of worms, basically. So it was a really big thing. I didn't have any trouble taking it out, but they've sort of effectively sort of fixed the thing that I've always been moaning about, which is that the expansion groups are just pathetic, essentially. We do have military science, so we're going to do, because of that, we're going to do some like landmines, and if I remember, one of the things they have also added is this whole controlling research, basically, but there's not a lot of, it's really intended for, you know, when you've got your base built and you're doing the infinite text, that's really what they put it in for, but obviously you can use it whenever. But yeah, so what we need to do essentially is go out and put some turrets down, particularly around, because obviously last time they ate my spaceship, little buggers. But yeah, so we need to be sort of protected on the flanks. I think I'm not fussed about putting any wall in, and well, you know, if they do colonise, we will just go and take them out. But we need, and you know, I need this essentially around the base. So in order for that to happen, first I need to, well, what I need to do first is blue science. Basically, we need to get that up and running, and so I need to decide what sort of scale I'm doing it on, because I just need red circuits from here. Now, I think I sized this, didn't I? So it's making half. So these are, in theory, making 2 each, but there's not. I don't think there's the actual petroleum to support that. And what are you making? So in theory, 2, 4, 6, 8. So what would we need? So if we did like 4, because you get 2 per craft, so you need half a sulfur for each chemical science pack, and that would take 12 seconds. So if we do 4, we'll get one every like 3 seconds or so. We just need some in order to make chemical related sciences happen, because we want to push on to get bots. That's like the goal. So we need, yeah, let's make 4, but we'll sort of double this up. I don't think we can actually support more as such. I mean, the cables is fine, but you know, we'll be sort of using up the plastic essentially. But what we're going to do, we're going to build it in here, I think, which is, I think, what I was intending with the sulfur coming down, but I'm not 100% sure. Yes, so if we think about doing, say, 4 chemical sciences here, what we actually want to do is make it, one of the really nice things is it shows you the speeds and stuff. So it didn't used to show you the proper speed of like producing the items. I mean, it does it for ghosts, so that is now the same as that. It showed you nothing for ghosts before, but also if they weren't powered, it wouldn't show you the proper numbers. Because obviously I don't have the I don't have you know, modules and beacons yet. They're next on the list. In fact, shall we put those in? But say we kind of want to focus on military. Can we focus on military? Until, well, we can do modular armor, can't we? So if we take all of these off, let's get rid of that one. So if we do modular, and then we do, wait, portable solar. Did I make solar panels? I'm not sure I did I? I did. Okay, so we can make some of those at least. But yes, we want to make engines now, you see. So where before you'd have to power it all up and mess about like that. Now we can just look at the numbers. We don't need to put power poles on it or any of those matters. And if I had modules and I put them in, it would show you the corrected rate. So it's 0.07 it's making. So it's still effectively 1-to-1, isn't it, basically? Okay. And we can steal, obviously, pipes and steel from there. Bring it all over here. This needs red circuits rather than the other one, doesn't it? So, if we want to make 4, then we need to kind of have this sort of arrangement. Oops. 4 times over. So 2, oops, 3, 4. I'm going to obviously use sulfur for explosives when we get landmines, and blah 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 blah. I'm going to grab some normal inserters, I think, first. Let's get some defendy boys, make sure that's fully stocked. We'll also stock up with the ammo. So I just need to be a little bit, I don't know, cautious, but, you know, mindful that I haven't put any defences in, and the new biters are much more. So it's not. I don't know that it's aggression. You know, it's not. They're not more aggressive as such. It's more that they come less frequently with bigger groups. So if they colonise, it is a challenge to take them on, which is good. I like that. That's a good change. I wonder what I was going to put in there. I bet it was steel furnaces, maybe. So what I was after was inserters. So yes. We can now also play this map generally more seriously, because I was just blibbling around. And if anyone wanted to chat about the Friday Facts, which not many people did, but then that was always an option, and I'm taking a look at it. But also, I mean, this week's Friday Facts is nothing. It's just, it's on experimental. Go play it if you want to. But yeah, so there's not really a... I'm alright with that. Okay, so this one needed a couple of things, didn't it? So yes, I needed to put the inserters in. But yeah, we'll get blue up and running. Wrong side. And then we can run around putting a bit of the old turrets in. Nothing spectacular, just, you know, to discourage if they come for our walls. Do I maybe put it... Because I'm going to need to bring in... So they're getting the engines directly, but we need to bring in some red circuits. So we will hive them off there. So then both of these are needed. Let's just put it there for consistency. Like that. So, that was the next one. We've also got quite a lot of red and green stacked up, really. So we will go you, that one. Don't think I've got any batteries, have I? But yeah, so that would give it access to all of those. But then we need to bring in. We could put one of what this needs on there, couldn't we? So we could put the steel, for example. So this could be red circuits and steel. If we do something along those lines. Where's steel? Steel's there. So actually it might be easier doing something like that. And then, in fact, put that back one. Just gives us one slot to work with, and then we can use the old splitty trick. Give them engine. Power across. So that gives blue everything it needs, but we don't have enough for the other one. But what we can do then is we do outputs there. Oops. Inputs here. So, I mean, given the mess I've made here, we might as well just take the outputs this way. I'd always just do some spaghetti if I decide to sort of double things up. So if we bring this, where to? We need to bring it to here, really, don't we? So all of our labs can access it. Yeah, let's do it more like that, I think. Oops. So yes, I don't know if people have been playing 2.1, what they think of it. It's not, there's nothing major to it. That was kind of my as in, I mean, things like the unloading bay and stuff. If you're someone who is struggling with throughput on Nalvis, then, you know, for science packs or what have you, then that's probably a great addition. But that's so, it feels like such a mega baser thing, and like I'm sure lots of people will be super concerned with it and thinking it's great and stuff, even though they're not actually struggling with throughput. It's like the thing. I mean, the classic thing is people go and ask about, on Reddit, about UPS and all that sort of stuff, and it's like, you are not going to have UPS issues. Maybe once you played the game for 1,000 hours and you're making a proper mega base, maybe, but your first playthrough, you're not gonna struggle with UPS unless you're literally running on a potato, and then, even then, it'll probably run fine. I don't see any blue science packs yet. Hello, Zeldons. Welcome. Good afternoon, Master of Factorio Nonsense. What is happening? Yeah, not too bad. Sorry, things are going not too bad. We're just chugging on with this. I've decided to just continue on. I had a notification like 3 recipes were gone. In fact, one of them I was going to look up was the tree seeds. No, you still make them. You can still make them. Yeah, they're still made from wood. They must have just changed the naming, because I got a notification saying this recipe had been removed or something like that. But you still make them from wood, so yeah, it must have just renamed it or something. But that was it. I got 3 notifications and off it went, sort of thing. There was no, or 3. You get these notices that pop up. This, this recipe is deprecated or what have you, type of thing. I think I might put a second inserter there. People clock their inserters to only be active when needed. I'm like, oh. Inline production of engine, interesting. Yeah, it's because it's basically a 1-to-1 thing. So this requires 0.06 engines, and that's going to make 0.07 engines. So it's basically 1-to-1. And we're literally doing this just in order to get, some blue science so that we can push on to bots. So that is us done for the whole blue science, something as it were. We'll let it build up a bit of a stockpile while we do some ready greeny ones that we didn't bother with. What we would want for actual use of actual blue, actual science is bots. That's where we need to get to. So we want advanced oil, lubricant. Oh, no, I can't put electric engine on. Okay, that's fine. But it does mean we can now make AN power armor, which we like power armor. Well, modular armor, I guess, technically. I have not set battery production up, have I? I've just got the sulfur ready for that to happen. Okay, but we could make, if we grabbed some red circuits. Can we grab some red? Oh, look, still got a stone on that belt. Yes, we will run round. I will make sure I've got some ammos and stuff. See if I can get rid of some of this copper. Take it in there. Perfect. There. There. What was I going to do? Yes, we need ammo, don't we? So if I put... what can I put away? I could put the pipes back. What else? I can get rid of... Yeah, put them away, I think. Just trying to give myself plenty of inventory space, basically. And we must have landfill by now, yeah. We've got the modular armour. So get rid of those 2 in... I assume I've got a chest of shame going somewhere. But let's have a look round. If we just do a general restock. Why are you... Oh! I guess the biters ate that inserter as well. Interesting. They must have known that was where, I was vulnerable. Targeting me. I have them parallel instead, okay. But don't think I recall don't like double red arms. It's not that I don't like them, I just it's my design approach tends not to, because I'm used, I do have obviously electric medium power poles, but obviously with these, if you do the double red arm thing, the second one's unpowered. So because I'm still kind of in the mindset of using using wooden power poles, Which I don't need to, I don't think. I think we've got enough production of steel and stuff now. But yeah, it's just force of habit, I suppose, more than anything. I've sent you set up a Blue Science on Discord. Okay, yeah, no worries. I tend to, I say, a lot of the, one of the reasons I do this approach and what have you is I don't tend to, I try and do things differently each time because I enjoy designing so much. But it does make it, it's like slower and less efficient and stuff, but I don't really care. Yeah, we've not got too many in them. Maybe if we bump that up to 400. Because we're going to have to kind of properly expand as well. We'll almost certainly... Oh no, yeah, they're not too bad, are they? But we'll definitely need extra before... But then I did a rail world, didn't I? So actually, we're at the sorts of distances where bring it in by train is probably better. But yeah, either way we will need plenty of belts, so might as well get that on the go. Did I increase that? No, I didn't. Let's put that on 400 as well then. Oh, that's on 500, okay. No worries. But yeah, so, you know, I mean, I do repeat things in a sense, you know, so I'd like this approach of doing it this, you know, this way. I sort of repeat that quite a lot, but I get to do a little bit of improvising and building sort of along the way, basically. If we take a few more, I think, yeah, and then we wouldn't have done combat shotties, which obviously got a load of new buffs and improvements, and in 2.1. How's the heatwave? So it's cooled off today. Well, yesterday it started to cool down. I mean, it's warm. You know, it's summer. It's not gone cold or anything. But you know, it started. Let's put it this way: this started off this morning as cloudy and breezy, which is much more British summer. You see, that's kind of what a British summer is all about. Is cloudy, breezy. Not, you know, I did a blue sky post about it. It's like, if you're not sure if you're going to need a coat, then that's British weather, basically. That's like that, or British summer, essentially. Yeah. So it was much more pleasant, and it was quite funny, like seeing people out and about, because everyone's kind of been trapped indoors. Because it was just horrendous. It was like being an oven, even when, you know, you closed all your doors and windows, like the advice, and you know, not the windows, yeah, and you know, during the middle of the day, and close your curtains to reflect all the sun and all that sort of stuff. But it means you're basically just, you know, trapped in your own house. And it was fierce. If you went outside, it was proper. You could feel yourself burning, you know. It was that sort of stuff, which is, you know, I know a lot of countries are like that anyway, but that's not how the UK is. I say it was interesting seeing a lot. You know, there are loads of people out and about, basically, because. Because, you know, say the sun sort of died away, sort of thing. So, if I grab some more, you know, it was behind a cloud, so you can actually go outside. Although, of course, I spent it, as I say, editing this video I've been working on, because I'm sensible. Right. So that's some military stuff. Let's go make some ring defences, so that if we do get some biters coming in, because the threat will actually come, it probably won't be them actually trying to colonise in the base. It still has the whole thing of, in fact, should I just get rid of these guys? I don't think I've done poison, have I? Because we're not at that military level. Were there any other really greeny. I guess we could do rocketry, but I'm probably not going to use rockets on them. Could do the whole flammables and projectile damage and all that sort of stuff. I think I'd rather push on to bots, maybe. Oops. Let's see if we can get rid of. Yeah, so the shotgun, you don't slow down now. It is a slightly slower shooting speed. I don't know if they did it based on like, because one of the feedbacks I gave is that when you shot, you see you get a secondary noise. If the thing you're hitting is close to you, you get like a second bang as the pellets hit it. And it was incredibly, it was like almost as loud as the actual initial shot. And it was confusing because it felt like you'd fired twice when you hadn't. So that was kind of one of the... This is the type of feedback, because what they do is they have like a feedback form that you can use in the open beta. And you don't, it's not just for bugs. You can put in suggestions and, you know, bits and pieces. Anything you want, really. There's no kind of restriction on it, and they can obviously just ignore it then. But so one of the suggestions I said was the secondary hits are weird because it feels just as loud as the first hit, which is just confusing. So yeah, I suggested maybe toning that down. It does sound like they did that. There's also, I mean, you know, they take balancing suggestions, and it's like the whole cargo pod the unloading bay range thing. They didn't sort of actively, you know, they weren't actively seeking feedback sort of thing, but there was a bit of a feeling of, what do you think? You know, do you think that's the right sort of distance? And people were sort of commenting on, you know, the other people in the closed beta sort of saying, well, if it's a bit longer, then you can fit, you know, X number of trains in rather than Y sort of thing. So we shouldn't really have anything coming in there because that's sort of, you know, protected by trees, but you never know. Okay, do we want to put any more? I'll probably put some walls over there. What walls have we got? Red arms are best arms. Jake goes to Discord want to get a headache on how I use red arms. I can't really do that during the stream. I don't open the Discord, but I will have a look afterwards and see what your setup looks like. I don't like to have it open because you know, it's yet another thing for me to get distracted and confused by. Because if it starts beeping at me, I'm like, what's going on? Cool. Okay, so let's put that like that. We pick a couple of them up. Now, where else do we want to put? Let's get the pollution. I guess just across those two, really. There's like as minimal, you know, but they're type walls as I'm brave enough to do at this stage. So the intention isn't really to stop colonisation or anything. It's more about if pollution aggravates a coloniser, then we've kind of got enough to ward off the incoming waves. There. So are you on 2.1 then? Fair enough. So it's enough for me to try and cope with chat. It's one of the reasons I didn't really like doing the restream, because even though, you know, there aren't a lot of people chatting, even just the few messages I got, I just sort of lost the plot really sometimes. And also, and I've said this before, so I don't mind saying it again, but people weren't really, how can I phrase it, weren't really respectful of the whole no backseating thing on YouTube. It's more, I think it's more embedded in the culture, as it were, on Twitch than on YouTube. And so, I mean, I even got questions of what is backseating. It's like, well, you know, it's so not understood to be a thing, as it were, that people don't even know what it is. I'm just going to pop a radar over here as well. I don't know how we're doing on power. I've not looked. Oh yeah, okay, so we could probably do with a solar field or two. Okay, now this bottom bit we just sort of open and exposed. Ooh, looks like we had some visitors, I guess. So yeah, I'm just going to put a load in, aren't I, really? Okay, fine. It's still fairly spaced out though. If we do sort of like that, down to there. How far down am I going? Yeah, do one more. I managed to squeeze in a bit of Factorio this morning, working on platform designs now when 2.1 allow platform to platform transfers. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's still quirky, you know. The whole interface and what have you is still quirky. And the thing that sort of kept tripping me up was when you're doing the platform and like you're setting where it requests from, the planet bit kind of has to be empty. So if you want to do imports from platforms, then you know it has to be either empty. I think, I mean, my assumption, and I didn't really seem to be able to get it to work this way. My assumption was that if it was a platform, say you put it around, you know, you had a platform around Volcanus that you wanted to pick up from, then you could have the Volcanus symbol, and like when it went somewhere else, you didn't want to pick up from that that planet's platform. If you see what I mean. So it's, you know, if you got one in orbit around Fulgora, one in orbit around Volcanus, my assumption was that if you put this Volcanus symbol in on that, you know, on that thing, then it would pick up from a platform around Volcanus, but not one around Fulgora. But I think it's simpler than that, and it is literally just if the planet symbol is there, because it seemed to get, even though it's got a radio button for platform or planet, if you left the planet symbol filled in and not empty, then it just wouldn't work. I just say it didn't seem to make sense of how it should work. But as I say, it is still very quirky, and I don't think there's any solution to that other than basically them completely rebuilding the game. Because, oops, didn't mean to do that. Oh, I never picked up any gates, did I? Yeah, okay. Probably gonna need more ammo, but yeah. So I say that was kind of my, I don't know, issue with it. But the thing I found a bit confusing is that, oh, and we're out of walls as well. Okay. You know, you're not just. So I need walls. What did I do a chest to shape? It would be up here, I thought. Yeah, there we go. Much faster to shoot trees with a shotgun now. Yeah. There's no pause, which I didn't mind the pause. It was quite interesting. You know, I didn't actually mind the pause as such. It sort of made sense. Oh. You just got hit by an auto moderator. Okay. Did you post a load of stuff all at once? Because that seems, I think my keyboard freaked out. Okay. That seemed a bit harsh because you didn't seem to be posting a lot, but Okay, I'll leave that alone then. I'm not actually sure if that means. Oh, it is Moobot. Okay. Interesting. What else was I going to put the armour in there, wasn't I? As happened before, it is weird test. But yeah, so what was I going to say? I can't remember what I was saying. Yeah, so that was it. The controls are, the way of doing it is quirky, and like you have to kind of work with it and learn it and what have you. But one of the things it did stop was that. So what I tried to do is I tried to have a platform do the delivery side. So where I basically tried to convert my white science, my space science platform, to receive the other science packs. So the Fulgorum one and the Volcanus one. And so I put requests on it. And, as I say, fiddling around with the, ticking the platform to platform and what have you, they did send packs to the space science thing. But then when Nauvis itself, because they also fulfilled the requests to the planet, so Nauvis was being stocked up as well. But when Nauvis ran out, and the other ones buggered off basically to go and get more packs, they didn't drop down from the space platform, and it's because you've effectively created. It knows to avoid a loop essentially with that, so that because if the platform in space is requesting a science pack and Nauvis is requesting a science pack, you could kind of see a situation where it drops down, and then it sends it back up again, and then it drops down, and then it sends it back up again, and so that it's like it just literally just ignores. So it seemed to be that if a platform in space is requesting an item, it won't, even though the unload is ticked and what have you, it won't fulfill the request of the planet. It'll prioritise its own request rather than the planet, fulfilling the planet's request, which made a lot of sense. And I think you could probably do some smart stuff with circuit networks in order to basically turn the request on and off. And so effectively, if your one in orbit, received a particular signal, it would get rid of that, or you just turn the request off, and then they drop down because it still voided the excess. So when I turn that request off, they all drop down to the planet, sort of thing. So you could probably do some stuff with that to control it. But yeah, so it's sort of quirky, and you've got to kind of work out how it works. I'm looking for walls, aren't I? Which I'm not entirely sure they are. Yeah, you sort of got to work through it and sort of go, right, so how does that work then? Which I say is very much like the platforms themselves and all that stuff. Which is fine, that's not a complaint. I'd much rather have it and it be a bit weird than not have it at all. I was writing, I had built a platform that fulfilled requests from planets. I kind of figured out how to handle that. Okay, trick is to have the request set by Y, yeah. There's 3 combinator solution, yeah. So it sort of looked like you could achieve it with combinators, but the closed beta wasn't very long, so I was basically doing it. Because what I'd hoped is that I was going to be able to have one of the weekends to just play Factorio, like old school, no life it basically, as we used to say. People don't say it anymore, do they? In fact, I'll put all of these in first. But the actual, ironically, the Friday facts were so long and so big and so much in them that kind of destroyed that notion. I spent, on the weekend that I was hoping to do that, I spent literally, it was like, when it came out on when was it? Like Saturday at 3 PM or something. I'd literally just finished the thumbnail type of thing. It was, you know, and I do the thumbnail for them, you know, straight after uploading them, basically. So yeah, it was sort of a all-consuming thing because there's just so much in them. Right, let's do it this way. Which I'm not complaining about. I love talking about the Friday Facts, but so it was a bit sort of like, well, that's completely screwed. That idea. And yeah, always seems to happen as well. Like when I did the original LAN party with it, it was right in the middle of like one of the busiest periods I have at work. Just you know, consistently, always insanely busy. So it keeps seeming to happen now. So I was mad busy at work, and then they're like, you know, we're going to do this closed beta. Oh no. When am I going to get time to play that then? So yeah, so I was kind of messing about, and as I said at the top, and as you saw, nearly 600 items in the changelog. Spent an entire half a day just reading it through. And it's like, well, what do I want to do here? So I kind of started a new map from scratch. And kind of did as much as I could, really. So yeah, I didn't really have a lot of time to mess about with the nuances of getting circuit networks to work, other than the basics of how you connect it up and stuff like that, really. Again, not in any way complaining, just a statement of fact, really. Okay, so we've got some level of defence, so that if they come and colonise in one of these bits and then send out a pollution response party, they're not immediately going to eat half of my entire base. So, happy with that. We've been chugging away doing ready greeny sciences. So we have all of the modules created. We should build them then. We do also have bulk inserters available, but I think I'll do them more with the idea of getting the actual bonus rather than building them, you know, in any volume. Just for the moment. But yeah, what we really want is oil, proper oil processing. So, what have we made that we can add on? We can do all that, or we can do batteries and modules. Okay, if we do the modules first, so if we go, which way round to do it? If we go 0 as the basic one, so we do speeds. Or just leave this slot available for, you know, when we get the level 2. Okay. Did I automate? Alright, yeah, so we've taken out. I wonder what I was intending to put on there. Not sure, but that's fine. Because I know I need them for obviously the what should we call it? Although I kind of realised I could make them here. We can make the electric furnaces there. Yes, so if we want to put in prod modules and efficiency, and that one's probably in a good position, isn't it? Alright. Although if we're going to do batteries, we'll probably end up doing them a bit, you know, We'll do some funky stuff with the sulfur. Okay, and then if we put that in, let's say we'll make that available for the upgraded ones. Cool, cool. So you need greens and reds. Oops. One of the things I found quite funny was the whole, you know, this whole exploit of for the biter nests, where basically, because they don't spawn. That's the wrong one, isn't it? They spawn at exact points, you know, at cardinal, you know, like, not cardinal, but like specific tiles, as it were, to spawn. And people have kind of just worked that out. That they've you know, not, I don't know, fixed it, but put in a thing to stop you doing that. And it's not actually that. It's funny because it's like, if you've got high enough level bots and like enough repair packs and all that sort of stuff, you can actually counter the acid. But it's a pain in the backside. So it's easier just to you know, put filtered turrets around them, basically. Yeah, it's just an easier solution. So what have we got that we've got but we need that we've got? So I did all of the circuit combinator things, didn't I? I've done pretty much everything there. You know, never bother with them. So we could put some accumulators in, which would be good, because then we could put an actual solar build in. It would mean doing acid, which we need to do anyway. I've got a bunch of blues sat there, haven't I? So how about if I just cancel that out? It's quite expensive, that, isn't it? Okay, I'm going to take these off just so I'm less confused. So we'll put the electric engines on, and the flowbot frames, and our two lovely bots. Don't you need? Oh, no, you don't. Okay. Excuse me. Okay. Did I automate? Yes, I did. Okay. Bing bong bing. Right, let's put that one in then as well. So 0 then is the quality module, and 1 will be its upgrade. Coolio. So let's get these in the labs. Let's put them in the, like in there. Oops. There. So it's certainly worth saving on them. Let it make a few more, I think. But yes, solar. So I guess let's do that then. Let's build some accumulators. We'll do an inline build with chemical plants for batteries, and then we just need to work out what the maths is. So if, let me see, if we put. Okay, no, that could be further up. So if that's there and you're doing batteries, you require 0.25, 0.5 sulfurics. to make 0.25. Okay. And then you require 0.37. Okay. 0.37, 0.25. So it's like that. So that's 0.5, 4, 8. No, it wouldn't quite work, would it? But don't we need them for like lasers? Yeah. And them. So we could have the excess going in boxes, basically. Because then we could just grab them to make some personal robots and personal batteries. Okay, let's do that then. So if we made... Do I want to make the sulfuric acid in line? Because we need for the acid iron plate as well as water. Just thinking maybe actually make it here. And just pipe it over. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, as I said on the Friday Facts and stuff, I wouldn't classify. So 2.1 is kind of like, this is what I said in the video actually. It's like the quality of life update. You know, if they were giving it names like, you know, when you get these updates on, I don't know about live service games, but you know those types of things. It's always like the, you know, this update, as it were. I say this would be the quality of life update, because it really is a massive amount of quality of life stuff. So, if we want to put them in boxes, I guess we should put them a bit further apart. I love these new assembly machine graphics. It's like remarkable the difference it makes. The problem with them though is it's sort of, it's like the chemical plant could do with it's kind of there, but it could do with a little bit of a polish, I think, because there's just not quite enough detail on it compared to the others. This is just like ever so slight. Like for example, so this has got the rivets around the window, and it, you know, these are obviously like a riveted thing in. And this has got all like the texture of rust coming off of them, and this doesn't, you know. So it's just like it could do. Oh, like the connectors on the front should have rust on them and things like that. But it's like it still looks really nice. So I don't know that they, in any way, shape or form, have to do that. But so it just feels like it's sort of the problem of, you know, if you upgrade it. In fact, I could probably do this, couldn't I? Then people are bound to, you know, compare it to the old one, as it were. So is that batteries, isn't it? No? No? Why can't I do batteries as a filter? Have I not researched batteries? Yeah, I've got batteries. Why did that not work then? Because it should have applied it to the inserter. Oh well, okay. I'll do it myself then. Sodja. Right. One of the things that is another of those you have to kind of get your head around it is that it does a lot of reading contents on things. So this, I mean, obviously, and you kind of want that. But where they've added a lot of things and like split it into the input and output, it's easy to forget to specifically, because you always used to just connect it up and it, you know, it automatically does it, and it's now in a different place, sort of thing. And you've got to remember, oh well, for this circuit, I don't want it to read the contents. I want it to. That was the subtraction thing they were talking about. You know, I want it to read the contents, or I don't want it to. You've got to be much more deliberate about it, which is good, because you know, it means you're sort of building it as required, as it were. So if we just we got moved away, and then this would be, I accumulators would be the power stuff. So if we call that, say, I don't know what I did it on the. What did we put it for? 100 was it? Okay, so if we just do 100 here as well then, because obviously we'll get quality modules in these as well. You need to be accumulators. So we've got it going in a box. We've got iron plate. You need both iron and copper, I believe. Yes, indeed. And so we can pipe there, pipe there. So we want sulfur, or sulfuric acid rather, over here somewhere. So we do that. Give you one of them. Like so. Haven't been putting lights on, have I? Oh no, I have. But not up here. Sulfuric acid. Awesome. So we need water. Okay. Let's do it. In fact, let's move that there. Because we're bound to need more than one of these, aren't we? Could have probably split it across all of the acid ones. But that needs 5. So we'll do a second one. So that'd be 10. Just going to make 50. But we'll say we'll need it for blue circuits and what have you. Yes. So let's get some water. Got a separate one. Yeah, let's take this up here. I think they've changed as well, like how it takes fluids out of the system, as in like how it does the flow rate. Because I was having a lot of trouble with holmium, where it was basically like there was enough holmium in the pipe, but it wouldn't pull it out. Basically, the machines would just sort of sat there going, "I've not got enough holmium." And it's like, no, you should have plenty of holmium. What's your problem? Okay. But yeah, I think it's changed how it does the flow rate, which I think was actually part of that bug fix they talked about, but I'm not sure, so I'm not going to commit to that. Okay, why aren't you making it then? Because I've obviously given you the wrong inserter, that's why. And you've not got acid because I forgot to put the iron plate over there. Right, let's steal it from here. So do, and then we do, and then 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 do. Okay. Okay, so that gets it some iron plate. And now we're into the problem of I've put a wall around it, so now I'm going to have to take it down again. Cool. Oh. Oops. Cool. So, have we made any quality modules? Probably not, because... Oh, no, we have, yeah. Oh, 22, okay. So, put them and them in there. And in here as well. Oh, of course, it's a grey machine. Right. Let's get them in there, because they're useful to have for platforms. And we could do... Yeah. Yeah, we could do the extra sciencey ones. Where we got? So your red science here. Boop, boop, oops. Boop, boop, boop. Them in. One of the things this should do. Yeah, so it exactly now matches the ratio. Well, I say exact. I'm sure it's probably on a decimal point scale, slightly off. But yeah. Do I care about? I don't think I do. Do I? I'd rather just have them quicker. And then we can put prods in our labs. Are we going to blow our power? Not quite. But we do need to be making some solar. Where would be a good place for that? How's our pollution cloud doing? How about we throw it in there so that it's sort of in our trees? Okay. Yeah, they changed something. Yeah, with the fluids. So it feels more like it was in the. It wasn't working how it was intended to. I mean, that's a bit of a thing to say, isn't it? Because how was it intended to work? It's a brand new system. But yeah, I'm pretty sure there's still stuff coming. Is one of the things to note. I don't believe they actually have put in everything in this 2.1 experimental that they're intending to. But this was just the stuff that, either needed a bit more feedback, if you see what I mean. So sort of more complicated systems or what have you. But also giving it the visual spit and polish, I mean, it's that thing, isn't it? Come back to our game because we've put in the shiny new baubles, It looks prettier now. Please play it. It's like, what do we call it? Was it Conan Exiles did a HD update? And it's like, it's enough to bring people back, basically. Okay. So, if we place that power pole and sort of use that as our starting point. How many is that? 17, 18, 19, 20. Obviously, at this stage, it's more about sort of daytime coal reduction. But once we get a few accumulators, it'll help generally with power. A lot of people don't use them, do they? They just keep growing the coal. To me, it's just free. It's like in the real world, it's just free electricity. So why not use it? Okay, so if we assume, so I mean, the sort of second hit was a lot louder. It was sort of like as a bigger boom as it was for the first hit, and it was all a bit confusing because you're like, wait, did I fire twice or? Would that work? Yeah, I think that'd be okay. First of many accumulators, I'm sure. Okay, so that's a little bit of solar. We can expand that. No problemo. And we have the first of our botty friends. Excellent. Excellent, excellent, excellent. So how about we put on that one I killed off with the extra capacity bonus. We need the second one, don't we, to do? Yeah, to do regular inserters. So put them on. It can chug away doing red and green science for them. We're happy with that. I think I'm going to leave personal roboports for now. Because we need to build the bots first. Do we want to do like material? I'm tempted to go lasers. Big cost lasers. So rocketry's great. I like using the rockets, fun, but I don't know that we're struggling with combat at the moment. We could buff them, but we're not getting any attacks. So what do we want to do? I guess I say we could do a mining, the second one, but it's very expensive for the amount of blue we're making. If we do military, I'd rather do that, if I'm honest, especially now that they're in there, because it was the combat shotgun first. They've swapped them round. It makes more sense, this, because this way you're using the shotgun with the piercing shotgun shells. It's like, rather than going like the big jump to the combat shotgun and then a small jump to piercing, it's more like small jump to piercing, small jump to combat shotgun. Because not that far from getting into space, because we just got all of this stuff. It means building a lot of things, but we could do small scale production of them, no problem. I was going to put plastic on, wasn't I, because we need them for the LDS. So, choices, choices, choices. How about we stick on the buffs so that when we get them, we've at least got, not the horrible, unbelievably slow bots. Yeah, let's do that. Okay. And we'll have lasers knocking about as a sort of a backup. Okay. How are we doing here? I should upgrade, since we've got a little bit more electric trickery. Oops, kind of upgrade these. Oops, come on. Because we're really getting into the circuit demand phase. My plan for this is to play this all across the summer. And I might do this thing I've mentioned a few times of doing extra random streams on it, but not on the Saturday. So I'd be doing them more in the territory of, if I'm extremely bored on a Wednesday or something, I'll do them then. So we've got the concrete for rocket silo, excellent. What about this lad? Because he's not getting enough stuff. Okay. If you were to get a speed module, 4.19, 0.69, double that would be 1.38. So call it 1.4, 2.8, 4.2. 4.2. Might struggle to get it all in and out, but we shall see. Okay. So, where did we get to? We've even got one of our first. I always thought this should be an achievement, because people were saying I was a bit puzzled by it, if I'm honest. People were going, "Where's the new achievements? Where's the new achievements?" And I think it's because Kovrex had said he wanted to put a couple extra ones in. I don't know why people are so obsessed with it. They seem a bit sort of... Okay. Your achievements, great, wonderful. Okay, we will put roboports here, or do we want to put them? I think maybe if I put electric, electric furnaces there, would it work? Let's have a. So I'm just thinking we could use that for roboports, and we could put the loggy chests there. Okay. Okay. So how would I look that up? If I do it on Factoriopedia, I like this as well. The pinning. The pinning is useful, especially when you're messing about like this and you're like clicking between machines and all that sort of stuff, and you can just have it open. You just move it over, and just off the edge there and bring it back up when you want it. Nice little thing. So we want furnaces. It's steel, red circuits, and stone brick. So this would have access to all of that. Excellent. So if we were then to put roboports here, and I would need to put them in there. And obviously that's not filtered anyway. Then we need steel. And we need gears. Okay. Bing bong bing. Right, so let's put the chests here. Or a chest here. Storage chest. Do you want to do it... I could build it such that I could add on like requesters later. So if I do that, we don't need that bit. If we go there, then we've got the slot for requesters. Going to limit it because I will inevitably put that in and discover far too late that it's uncapped. And then we've got a couple of longies. And you also need both circuits, eh? Crikey. Greedy boy. Okay, so we've got the roboports, we've got the loggy chests. I could make bulk inserters, but I'll just hand do it when I need them. So what we need to really do is set up flying robot frames rather than bots as such. Yeah, okay. Where do I want to put them then? So I wonder if we could sneak them in here. It ends up being like a row to do the flying robot frames and robots, but it probably be a few iterations, shall we say, of doing it. We do need lube, don't we? Because we need electric engines. Yeah, we need lube. I might be able to do that outside and pump it across. We shall see. But we need. Well, let's do it the other way around. We'll do flying robot frames. So they would need... The green circuits are on the bus, minibus, whatever we want to call it. Steel is, so we would need batteries, which we know we can do the same sort of thing there. Rate-wise, 0.25, 0.07, so we could do 1 batteries. Whoops. And that would sort of work. You're for electric engines. They need 1.1 to 10. Okay, yeah, so that would be fine. So if we were to put you somewhere out here to give us a bit of working room, then that would be fine. The batteries again, I mean, we could maybe do Because don't 0.03. So it could support 2, but then we could put some in a chest as well. Obviously we need regular engines. So that would support 2, would it? In fact, more than. That would support 2, is it? It's that one, yeah, okay. So if I do that the other way around. So that would then give us, because we've got the steel, green circuits, the batteries is what we're getting. We just need to bring in, you know, the acid, and that would give us electric engines, the green circuits and engines, steel and pipes and that. Okay, so if we move this up, and then we would be putting some of those in a box. Oops. And then we can mirror this on the other side, like so. And then I'll finagle some, you know, I'll spaghetti the flowbot frames out somehow. So you would be able to be here and get steel gears and what have you. You would get the circuit and stuff. So we would need this to be like one down. What else do you need? Green circuits. They're on that side. That might be convenient. Because we could potentially pump that up one. And that could do across there. And then if we can pipe it across, which I don't think should be too difficult. This is realising it might be difficult. Well, this doesn't have to output downwards, does it? So this could be like that. No. If it was like that, maybe? No, that doesn't help. Because that's not going to reach all the way across. So I guess if I just do a long-handed, well, I guess I could put them in a box, couldn't I? Maybe. Also gives me more room to put a bit of spaghetti in. Oops. So if we do box, yep, I like it, I like it. I like it. Other way around. So you would need steel and green circuits, which happen to both be there. You need iron plate. Let's give you one of them. You need some more undies. Always need more undies. Couldn't possibly reuse the ones we got. Undergrounds. And power poles. I did actually at one point go into the, let's say, once my, because I did the launch stream on whatever it was, Tuesday. It's because, partly because the, you know, work had been a lot easier than I was expecting to do. I was expecting a bit of a disaster, if I'm honest. But only turned out to be bit of a mess rather than disaster. I've got to set up oil cracking, and I forgot all about that. So we would need engines there. Yeah, so I sort of did that. I don't need that, do I? Did the launch live stream on the Tuesday and stuff, but I kind of went into like proper full-on, as I say, no life mode as well at one point, because I hadn't managed to do it for that weekend. So I just sort of then went, right, well, I'm going to do it now. I think I'm just going to have to go downwards with it, because I need that space to put those out. Yeah, so this does need to come down. It was weird. It was like, I say, it was like being, you know, first time player again, because I did that first time played. There was a lot of the classic, the weekends just disappeared type of thing. I was like, wait, didn't I have a load of washing to do? And it was like, oh yeah, I didn't bother doing it. But yeah, it was interesting kind of going back into that mode, how easily I slipped back into it basically. Yeah, that'll work if we do that. Do one of them. Cool. And now we can potentially make use of the whole outputting on different sides, my bob. Don't really need to do that, but oops, that's a H, not a V. But if it's there, let's use it. So you need batteries, because I didn't hook up acid to that, did I? Cool. So that's batteries. They can put them in a box. Let's put some control on them. So if that's less than... Don't really need it to be so high, do we? But put a little bit of a buffer in. And then same here. I want to say if a bit higher on them, maybe. What do they stack to actually? 50. Let's do 100 then. And then same on. Oh, I haven't got the inserter on. Yes, I have. Like what? No, I haven't. Oops. Yeah. Give you one of them. What's missing here? Because this isn't running. Oh, it's not got green circuits. Okay. And they're on the other side. Now that is annoying. That is annoying. Okay, we're going to have to swap all of this around then. So you need to be on the bottom, my friend. And you need to be on the top. Tops needed. It's also not going to do that nice thing it did here. Oh well. Oh well. Best laid plans and all that. be a fast one. It does need to be connected probably then. Okay. So it's just missing green circuits there. And lube. But for now, let's assume I might be able to do that. Let's assume we have that up and running. And we can put something here. I mean, we could do it there, couldn't we? Because I could hop that over. Could I? I was just thinking I could put the assembly machine making like structure bots there, and that could all go up one. What if I did it there and there? In fact, I need them in a box though, don't I? Yeah, we could do that then, that's no problem. Just do a... In fact, have we got loggy boxes yet? We have. Get them and let it flash at us. And roboports? 9 roboports, crikey. What luxury. Bet this is going to hammer the power. I just double checked my platform buffer system. And what did you find? Did it work? Put you there, and then no, it needs to be like, I guess there and there, because then we can feed them in like so and like so. We do. Oh, they're not circuit connected, are they? Do. And we go read robostats. You see this thing of like reading the contents? We don't want it doing that because it could add on the bots, although we'll be basing it on the X and Y symbols. But that's the sort of thing I mean, of like, it's not quite... The tweak they've done is a bit more sort of significant in a sense than just allowing you to tick both boxes. So if we do that... Oh, it's the wrong way. And in fact, let's do it there. I realised I'd have built all of this on this side, but there you go. Here's what it is. We do a splitsy there. Like so. You and you. Like that. We'll leave them... No, I might as well turn it on actually. So do them, and we want to put limits on both of those. So I want you to only enable if there are less than 100 construction bots. I'll copy it over and just change it to that. And then we want you to only enable if you get, and I always get these symbols wrong. We'll do it on X, it's definitely wrong. That's say 50. Available logbooks, yeah, so, and then Z is available construction, okay. So we would do Z, and we would copy that over, and we would do X, I think it was, available loggy, yep. Oh, that one needs red circuits, does it? So I got that inserter wrong. Not that there's any red circuits coming through. How are we doing on power? Okay. It does work. It will only buffer as much as I tell it to, though. Okay. So as in, you need a bit of maths somewhere to work out what to buffer it? Or like a control panel, basically? I didn't hook these up, did I? So that's not getting what it needs there. We don't need that to be like that anymore. Let's make it nice and tidy and consistent. Did I hook the engines up? Yes, so our blocker now is lubricant. Gotta get a lubing or two. Okay, so we've got some chemical plants. So, in fact, why don't I put that like that? And then we end up wanting to expand it. We can nice and easily. Haven't put any lights on any of these, have I? I should be able to make some whatchamacallits? Personal batteries. Do you want to see if we can maybe... Oh, look, we've got loads of them. Get some accumulators on. And have we got batteries in a box anyway? I do, yes. We can take them. And then we can make some personal batteries. A couple of those. How many? Let's get some more solar panels as well. Cool. How did I time? 5:30. Okay. There. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Awesome. Now, oil cracking. A cracking time from it. Not happy with it overall. Seems like it stops buffering halfway sometimes. Alright. I say, it did seem very quirky. That was my kind of reaction to it. So, it may not be functioning in quite the way you think. Just because of how they've had to build it, essentially. From my point of view, my kind of reaction to it was that when I found out that essentially you can't, or can't use it in a dumb system to do buffering at the planet side, the delivery side, was I was like, actually that's not necessarily a problem in a sense, because your platform can, if you just have a science platform, you know, then it can just sit in orbit with Science Pack. The only difficulty is obviously Gleba. So we will put these onto advanced. Call EO. Yeah, say it was a bit like so. It doesn't help you with solving Gleba, but that's one planet, you know. I say I was more excited for Gleba with like the concept of essentially triggering the harvesters to go now make science packs basically. Where's that water? There it is. Oh, that's messy, isn't it? I don't like that at all. Even I don't like that. So yeah, that was kind of my reaction to it. Was like, so what I can actually do is control Gleba via some, command on Malvis to say, we're about to run out of packs. Please make more packs. And your platform would shoot off, and sort of a synchronized system in a sense. Can we get some modules as well? Let's see if we've got any. Yeah, it will fill the buffer if it can fill the buffer. Otherwise, it ends up in some broken state. Yeah, I'm sure you'll get there, but and that's part of the joy of it, isn't it? With these complicated systems in Factorio, it's like a big part of it is the. In fact, why don't I put a little? I don't like buffering usually, but since we got one science pack lad. Why don't we just do a fill up a box type of thing? And if we give it a fast one, so that's lasers done. Do we want to just do a little pause or do like a buff or something? I could do the personal rover pause. That's quite cheap. But if we do that, and then I just maybe do a few military buffs while we're waiting for me to mess around with oil. Because we could do the lasers now as well. Wait. I never realised that. So you can do the laser shooting speed without ever actually researching lasers. Or the, turrets. I never twigged that. I always assumed it came off of the actual turret. So you can have them, because that includes your personal one as well, doesn't it? Yeah, so you can't get your personal one until you've done the actual turret. Never realised that. Well, it's only cheap, so we might as well get it on. But, say, we'll do... we're going to do them. They're blue science. Let's leave them. Because I wanted to get it to like buffer up a bit of blue science before we did anything. Because I'd rather move on to... your rocket fuel, your load industry structures, your processing units, and maybe get into space. It's all sort of mixed blue, isn't it? Yeah, so if we do military type ones, just to fill the gap, because that then goes blue, that one doesn't. Okay, so we could queue up that one instead. No, let's just have the rocket on. In fact, we'll do it that way around. What was I saying? I was going to go and see if we had modules. We have some modules. Okay, let's take them all. Why did we want modules? Because, well, we hadn't finished filling the labs, for one thing. So we will do that. We're going to put them in chemical, aren't we? Let's just put the speed one in first. Let's move our car out of the way. Yeah, playable game with that tech tree. So it's sort of... I guess it's this thing, isn't it? And it's kind of why I came to the conclusion that the engineer isn't really doing research as such. They're just working out how to build, because it doesn't make any, in a world where they don't know how to make lasers, so they've not done the research for lasers. How could they possibly do a technology that improves their shooting speed without it researching them first? And it's sort of, to me, tied together a lot better if you say, well, they know what a laser turret is, they know what a laser is. They just don't know how to build one on Nalvis because they've crashed there and they don't know what the local resources are and blah blah blah, etc, etc. So say that was kind of a lot of the why I came to those particular conclusions. Oh, I see I've gone upwards with petroleum. Okay, fine. You do that then, Mark. You do that. Okay, so we want heavy somewhere. We probably want it... In fact, if we do the tank here, and then we can... does that make sense? Probably not. So this was the heavy cracking. Actually, yeah. So if we do... Because we need a pump in, don't we? It's not... I don't... It's weird. The pump jacks I found really annoying that it did that corner, because the fluid tanks do the same thing, where it's only on a corner, and when you rotate it round. Now flipping does make sense because it's symmetrical, but it's always still a corner. But when you rotate it round, it's like the opposite too, sort of thing. And it's sort of, this one doesn't bother me for some reason, even though the actual the other one drives me nuts, sort of thing. So it's just the weird things that you sort of trigger on, as it were. Okay, so we want that there, that there, and then we want this here, like so. I want you to connect somewhere, maybe there. This also needs water, doesn't it? Water's there. That's not very convenient. Who put that there? Because we do that. Oh, that's atrocious. I don't like that at all. If I move it back a bit, maybe that's the solution. And then, yeah, do that like that, maybe. Could move that over actually. And then this pipe, oops, connects it there. But we want the old logic on, where we say only turn on. I guess if heavy oil is above 10,000, yeah, because we've got we could do the entire pipeline contents, couldn't we? I'm not going to, but that's one of the new things. Hello, Banancius, welcome. Hope you're doing okay. I'm making a platform that delivers all construction materials to all planets without any buffering on the platform. Right now the idea is that the platform will go to a planet only if it needs to take something from it or needs to bring something there, and will move in a clockwise route when multiple destinations are needed. Do you think it would be better if the platform would come to a planet that needs items only when it can fulfill all of the planet's requests, or when it can fulfill any request partially? I don't know if it even I don't even know if it matters, since the platform will try to go clockwise. So, yeah, my approach glitches sometimes. So you line out the glitches, I'm sure. I would probably do. Are you just determined to do one platform? Because go to planet only if it needs to take something, to bring something there. I suppose if it's just orbiting, it's going, because you can't actually go round the planets clockwise. If you look at the star map, I don't know if it'll show, because it now shows on the star map. This is one of those. I can't show it because I have to launch a rocket. But on the star map, it shows like the ghosts of the planets, even when you've not discovered them, I think. But because of how they've set it up, you would end up visiting certain planets twice. You have to go on a route. That is a thing. I would probably do interrupts if I was honest with you. That's kind of how I would do it. So I wouldn't actually have it necessarily orbit, but do it more on a demand-based thing. And because you can trigger interrupts with a circuit condition, so you can effectively say, if there's demand for holmium, go to Fulgora type of thing. And I would probably do it on a... It kind of depends on how, what your intention is. If you just want to have one gigantic planet, one gigantic platform that has production for, as you say, almost everything. Because you could circuit control it. I never really got on with the changing the recipes thing for circuit controlling. Like, as in, you could say, so say you need foundries on Gleber or something. I don't think you do. I don't think you ever do you? But say you need them there, then it could go to Volcanus and pick up foundries, or it could request the resources and build the foundries like en route. So you've kind of got to decide which one you want to prefer to do. Is that what I would say? Because it could be a courier effectively, and it says, right, foundries are needed on Gleber. That means I need to go to Volcanus to pick them up, and then Gleber to drop them off, sort of thing. So that could be a set of interrupts. That might be quite complicated to program. Or, you see, it could just go to Volcanus and pick up, tungsten and carbide and what have you, and then essentially make the foundries en route. Yeah, so it's sort of I think that's your biggest decision point, is exactly what is it doing? Is it making everything on the platform, and it's just pulling up raw resources? Because then you could trigger that based on what it's got in stock. You could say, right, we've got 10,000 holmium in stock. That's not enough. Go to Fulgora to pick them up. That's one interrupt. And so it just keeps a constant stock level. And it builds then a buffer, makes sure it's got, or it just always manufactures until it's got 50 foundries in stock. And then when there's a request from Gleber for foundries, it fulfills that request. You see what I mean? So I think it kind of depends on exactly what you're going for. But you said without any buffering on the platform. Main there's all construction materials without any buffering on the platform. So what you kind of need therefore is if it was just orbiting, I don't see how you do orbiting and an orbiting approach without buffering, because orbiting is a buffering approach basically, because then if you're at Gleber and you're going around clockwise as you say, then you may not get to Volcanus or whatever the order of the planets is for ages, so you're going to have to buffer, otherwise you're not going to have what it needs. You see what I mean? Because what I did in my first playthrough is I just had ships that were gigantic chests flying around, and if something wanted it would drop them off, and if something didn't, if that was out of stock, then it would pick them up, sort of thing. And I say that is like the traditional buffering, just goes round and round approach, which is how the devs, that's what enabled them essentially to launch the game, is that that's how they'd kind of set it up, that was the easiest and most obvious solution. What would you do? It needs to take something from it, or it needs to bring something in. Measure it when multiple destinations are needed. So it feels like you need to be doing interrupts rather than like a fixed schedule or something like that. I don't know that you're going to get it to go. If you're doing interrupts, I don't think you can get it to go into a specifically clockwise direction. That would have to be a programmed, a set schedule. Yeah, so I think you've got slightly contradictory desires, as it were, which is fine. You're going to end up needing to do a lot of stuff with circuit networks if you do. And I say, you could trigger interrupts relatively easily from the planets. You could also, what could you do? Oh, my undergrounds again. Yeah, so I think you kind of need to, give it a go, basically, with your basic idea, and then, figure out why it's not working, or what the failure points are. It's basically you need to come up with a design and debug it, essentially. And if it doesn't work at all, then kind of go back to the drawing board based on what you've learned. So my sort of thinking on it was to do more platforms in space, or you know how I would quite like to do this playthrough if I kind of get there eventually. Of like, why have you not got any heavy oil in you? Because it shouldn't have pushed it all into them. I know we only had like 8 or something. Oh, I guess it would have done because... Yeah, because I didn't have that condition on, didn't I? Oh. You've got my brain puzzling now. I'm sort of trying to think how I would do that, as it were. Honestly, I'm not entirely sure. Put that there. Okay, whoops. Can I connect pipe with different fluids? Oh, I've got the water there. That's annoying. If we do it, say, 1 up. Yeah, there we go. Cannot connect fluids of different types. Well, there we go. But yeah, so my sort of plan, hope, to get to is to use basically planet buffers. So everything's in stock on a platform around the planet, which it sounds like what Solomon's trying to do. And then like have platforms that move the stuff around and use interrupts to manage them. So it basically says, I say Clever goes, I need foundries. And so it goes, right, let's do an interrupt on this platform for foundries. And so off it goes. So that needs to be a pump, doesn't it? I guess what I mean is no extra buffering and not just no buffering. So it only picks up items that it needs to deliver. Okay. Basically, I want to turn that platform into one big logistics robot. I say your sort of problem is going to be that. So what does it? So for example, say it's picking up holmium plate or something. If that's using a, I guess you could tier it maybe, because what's going to happen is that amount of holmium plate is going to fluctuate. You know, it's going to go up and down quite quickly, potentially, and so when the platform arrives, what is it actually requesting? Because if you're setting it dynamically via the circuit system, it will just be counting, presumably, unless you do some clever stuff. Why have I put that way around? That was idiotic. But it will just be doing some clever stuff. What was I saying? Okay, getting confused. It'll be... What will it be doing? It will be... Yeah, so it'll be looking for holmium plate sort of thing, but it's asking for a number that's going up and down. So what is it actually requesting? And so you could set a sort of like a bracketed thing. So if it's below, a bit like I'm doing on these. So if it's below X, or if it's between two values, then set it at the top value, if you see what I mean. So if it's between 300 and 500, the request is 500, and it'll just pick up 500 and take that around. But so I think that's the sort of stuff you're going to have to kind of iron out, as it were. I mean, I'm not saying that looks like it's impossible, but those are the types of things I would probably be thinking about. You know, procedurally, when it turns up, what is it going to do? Because as I say, I would probably use interrupts to do the actual I need holmium plate, because those can just be generic on any platform. I've not done platform interrupts, if I'm honest, but it must work like trains, where, because the interrupts work on, Yeah. Interesting. But that's my version of that is that kind of works. Works way better than the stationary buffer version at least. Okay. Okay. I've done that in a very janky way, haven't I? Because I'm distracted. You're distracting me. Making me think about things. Yeah, my sort of working assumption is that a lot of this stuff isn't, that like the part of the reason that they didn't put it in the game initially, but maybe always wanted to, is that it's a bit it gets a bit complicated and convoluted and maybe confusing. Especially for someone who doesn't know anything about the circuit network, so you could easily see a situation, I think, I should put it in the other one, shouldn't I, where someone's, trying to do something, and it's not that it's impossible or anything, it's just that it's requires, 5,000 combinators and effectively then building an entire CPU with combinators to get it to work, and it's like, well, what are you actually trying to achieve? Okay, so I think we do have, but we don't have, not only Flowbot frames there. Why not? Is that because you put... Ooh, we've got 16 construction robots. Ooh. But we are getting into dodgy power territory. Okay, so I've got a couple of minutes left. I'll probably just run a little bit long and we'll build in solar panels and accumulators. Look, you see, we are eating through this iron patch. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see what people do come up with, particularly people who are a lot smarter with circuit network stuff than I am. It's like, I say this a lot, but because I used to be a programmer, and so I'll often find a lot of the things I'm trying to do, I know how I would code it. Well, it might not be the best code ever. I was never a good programmer. I know how I code it, but translating it into the combinator system ends up being a bit sort of a massive headache. Because you have to do this thing of it feeds into this, it feeds across from this one to that one and the other, and it just feels like more work than it should be. I'm not good at circuits. Me either, as I say. So, well, the circuit system on this, anyway. Big boom, bing. And part of it is, it does. I've said this lots of times before. It does a lot of stuff for you automatically that I don't want it to do. I've done that wrong, haven't I? I don't want it to do. Like effectively combining arrays and all that sort of stuff. I want to have control of that, so that I understand what it's doing. I don't want it to add two things together unless I tell it to add two things together. But if the way it's set up, if you just put the signals on the same wire, then they're automatically added together. And say that's the type of thing that confuses me, because it's not. You wouldn't code it like that, or rather you're having to learn a language that has its own quirks, which is fine. I've learned multiple languages, but I'd much rather If they could put the combinators in C, then I think I'd be happier. Weird way of putting it, but actually I've got grenades, haven't I? Yeah. Ah, lovely grenades. Get these in and then wrap up. So I think we made good progress today. I'm motoring along now because before this was just bimbling about if anyone wanted to chat about the Friday Facts thing, but now I kind of want to push on. Next time we should hopefully get into space. Oh, I know what I never made and what I was probably leaving that gap for. Was steel furnaces. That's inconvenient then. So yeah, if we make this steel furnaces, I mean I haven't got them, have I? Steel. Oh no, I've got them already. Okay, so I wasn't. Okay, that's cool then. But yeah, we could upgrade to steel furnaces. Because I think we could probably support that, maybe? We really are running through the iron, aren't we? Which is kind of to be expected. Oh look, we're about to hit some pollution over there. I was kind of hoping it might do a expansion and I could show you the, if you've not encountered them, what the new bigger ones look like. I mean, we're getting some absorption here, but I think it's just the normal terrainy stuff. There's no dead corpses or anything. No. You would hope the corpses would be dead anyway. I mean, they are getting hit. Okay. Yeah, cool. Right then. Ooh. I will have it be controlled fully with interrupts that are controlled with circuits. Entire interrupt is if Nauvis signal, then go to Nauvis. Repeat that for every planet. The actual thing that chooses where the platform goes is on Nauvis. If the platform is over Nauvis, it will first look at if it needs to go to Vulcanus. If yes, then go to Vulcanus. If no, it looks at if it needs to go to Clever. If yes, go to Clever. Repeat for all other planets. Yeah. So that makes more sense rather than it just sort of going round and round and round. Sounds very similar to my approach. So you can, you know, it's the traditional approach. So kind of how they designed it, you know, from the beginning is just literally it does you do orbits or you do short orbits particularly, but not because in particular it's not you end up visiting one planet more often than others, which if you can make that now, that's fine. But I don't think that it quite works like that. I can't remember. I honestly can't remember the star map. The actual condition will be an enormous disjunctive normal form. Great brains thinking like. Yeah, so yeah, I think an interrupt-based system is probably better, but you are going to get that thing of, I suppose it will kind of cover it off in a sense, but you can't. Depending if it's orbiting current constantly at Nauvis is its home base, as it were. Then where it goes, by default, or maybe it doesn't need a default. But I mean, just saying, if you're at, Fulgora, I honestly can't remember the order of the linkings of the planets. But if you're at Fulgora and you want to go to Gleba sort of thing, then you'll have to go through other planets anyway. You can't go direct from certain planets to other planets. You have to pass through them. Now, the interrupt wouldn't stop then. The interrupt would just be go from. It's just that you could end up with you're effectively creating the travelling salesman problem, in that if you're at Folgora and you get interrupts to go to Volcanus, Gleba and Nauvis, what order do you put them in? Because you have multiple routes going through that, and it will also change if you're at, Gleba rather, which is the best route to go through. And then when you chuck Aquilo into the mix, you're effectively creating yourself a travelling salesman problem. What is the most optimal route? And the travelling salesman problem is what do you call it? It's one of them incomplete problems, isn't it? Where you don't have a general solution that is computable in an easy way type of thing. So that's the thing I would probably. I mean, it's not necessarily a problem, but it does mean that if it goes through it in a linear way, it'll go to Gleba, even though when it's it'll pass through Volcanus type of thing. So I honestly can't remember the map, but it'll pass through Nauvis or something, and it actually has a thing that it needs to do on Nauvis, but it'll just fly past it because it's going to Gleba, and so it could be suboptimal. And my brain tried to flip my logic, and that might help. Yes, cool. So did I put the schedule up? Yeah, cool. So that's it for this week. I enjoyed that. So now that we're motoring along, this is more of a proper playthrough. The reason I, was bimbling around in it as well was that I wasn't entirely sure how easy it would be for 2.1 to transfer over. And if you're early game, it's really easy. There's basically nothing that's changed. There's a couple of things you might want to redesign based on the whole flipped inserters and all that sort of stuff. But essentially, it's nice and easy. It's a nice transition over. I haven't seen mention when they originally talked about 2.1. That was when they were going to stop support for the rail. The previous rail. But I haven't seen them mention that, so I don't know if maybe they still support it or not. Obviously, it didn't matter for this because it's using the new rail. But yeah, it was strange they didn't announce that if they are killing it off. But yeah. The condition that include the planet it is on. Travelling salesman problem is solved for Factorio. It is clockwise or counterclockwise, but skip unneeded planets. Okay. It works perhaps and uses one less combinator. Interesting. Yes, so what was I saying? Yes, we will be continuing this on. This will be the Sunday playthrough. I might do a few random streams, as mentioned. I'm currently working on a video of my favourite changes for the 2.1. It'll be quite short, quite to the point. That'll go live for members either. Will I get it finished today? No, I won't get it finished today. That'll probably go live for my channel members over on YouTube maybe Monday, and then maybe a week of early access and pop it up after that. I have no clue with the Friday fact. I'm not entirely sure they're not trolling me, to be honest with you, because the things I keep saying, they keep doing either the opposite or deliberately not doing, because I fully expected this Friday Facts. I thought it would do the announcement of 2.1, but I thought it would be about the combat stuff, so like the shotgun changes, but also the bits they've done with biters and all that sort of stuff. So it obviously wasn't. So maybe we'll get that this Friday. Maybe they'll just not bother for a couple of weeks. Don't know. It's really up in the air. So there might be Friday Facts videos. They did say in the last one that they will be doing them. So I will be doing my Friday Facts videos. I don't really take summer holidays. It's not what I don't find that as useful holiday time. I tend to take my holidays sort of around my birthday, which is sort of earlier in the year, and then October type time. So sort of autumn around there. So yes, I'll be continuing streaming, apart from random things, on the Sundays this series. Maybe do the odd random stream, as I say, of this during the week. What I do want to do, when it all gets a bit settled down and I've done this video and what have you, is on Saturdays I'll be picking up doing other games basically. So those will be streams of I want to stream Stacktorio, and what was the other one I was really keen on? I can't remember. There's one with bugs, and I can't remember what it's called. Right, so people send me codes and stuff, and also I get there's random demos like in Steam Next Fest and stuff. So I want to do that as like a Saturday stream, because it'll be I won't be doing the lore speculation videos are on hiatus while I do the Friday Facts, but also while I write scripts. Essentially, they'll come back in the autumn/winter. So basically, I say I'll be doing a bit more streaming, but Saturdays will be other games of a similar stripe, building, management, that sort of thing. And Sundays will be Factorio. And then if I get bored, a couple of streams during the week, maybe something like that. So yes, that's kind of the content plans going forward. Is that everything there? I think so. What else have I got on my... Oh yes, I guess the other point is I no longer use Restream to stream to both Twitch and YouTube. I didn't find that a very satisfying experience. I found it very confusing going across two chats, and technically I'm not actually massively impressed, but it's hard to complain because it was entirely free. Oh, hello, Lexicon. Welcome. I'm just about to end, I'm afraid. If you want to catch up on any of this, this stream, obviously, VODs are on Twitch for a short period, but I have a second channel, which is the VODs channel there, which is VODs and Sods, Triggles VODs and Sods. So if you look for that on YouTube, basically, I just get them up whenever I can. They're always up by the next week, but I just put the streams up on there because it confuses the audience, basically, especially if I do other stuff. Like non-Factorio games, it sort of... Trismegistus, the main channel, is Factorio, basically, and Factorio videos rather than live streams. So if you want any of my VODs for anything going forwards, I've not transferred the old ones over because I'm very, very lazy, but you can find those on there, but the VODs are all on Triggles VODs and Sods now. If you want to follow me on socials, then Blue Sky's the only one I'm even vaguely active on. At the moment, it's just complaining about the weather. And there's also a Discord. Somebody asked me to do a refresh on that, so I made it quite simple. And it's really intended, if you want to chat about the videos with other people who use Discord, then that option is available for you. But I'm not really a Discord user, so it's not a way of, I'll be popping on there, but I'm not active on Discord. It's not really my cup of tea. So that's all the self-promo stuff. Anyway, save that as regularized. They still exist. Okay. I wonder when they are going to get rid of it. Maybe it'll be when it becomes 2.1 stable. They'll get rid of them, because they were quite insistent on that, because it's obviously legacy code that they'd have to maintain otherwise. Interesting. Anyway, that's it for this week. If you have been watching, I hope you've enjoyed it and you might consider coming back for another one. I've been Trismegistus. This has been Factorio version 2.1. Thanks for watching. Cheers.